Just say that I have not gone live in 5 months.
Oh, wow.
5 months because the end of season 2 was in November,
Mm,
and I kind of wanted to give myself an opportunity to really take a break, like to take a real break. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah.
we need that sometimes.
Yes, so true.
So that's really what this was. It
Okay.
was literally just a mental health break. And I know sometimes people are like, you shouldn't be doing that. You're
Mhm.
not reliable. And I'm like, they haven't turned me into a robot yet.
We need a whole other show on that because when you take a break, people get upset and people forget that, you're human. You're human.
Absolutely.
And our bodies, like we have limits. Our capacities, we have limits.
Absolutely. I'm still human. So I am, just to let everyone know. Well, first of all, I just came in here shooting, right? I just started shooting. I walked through the door, just,
Yes.
hi, world. I'm Nola Ro. I'm the host of the Nola Ro Experience Podcast, and this is my girl, Iya.
Hello.
So, we do have a viewer, so I feel like it is working. Um, but just to let everybody know, I haven't heard anything. Yes, it is working.
Mhm.
I'm looking at it right now. We are working and we're good to go. So I feel more at ease now. So season 3 of the Nola Ro Experience podcast just started on March 23rd. Episode 1, I sat down, talked with my mom. We started delving into our relationship, but I wanted to start at the very beginning. I wanted to start at the time when my mom was pregnant with me as a 19-year-old, and just to get an idea of what life was like for her, because we did have a super strained relationship while I was growing up. And I wanted to humanize her and look at her for exactly what she was at the time, a young girl, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we are so upset with our parents and we don't really look at that like this is just another person making
Yeah.
a mistake,
Yeah.
so that's what the first episode was about. So make sure you tune in to wherever it is that you like to cast your pods, whether it's YouTube if you like to watch. Spotify now offers video if you like to
Mm.
listen. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Google,
Mhm.
Amazon, wherever it is that you like to listen to podcasts, you can tune in. And I appreciate everyone who's been giving feedback so far. Thank you so much. Now, fast forward to now. Actually, last week, I think it was, I posted something on Instagram. And my post was about people constantly saying strangers support you more than the people that you know. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know, because that wasn't my experience. I know that with all of the businesses that I've started, it was always my immediate network of people that showed up, made a purchase, helped to promote, word of mouth, pull people in. So I was like, I think this is my close people doing it. You know what I mean? And they're the ones who kind of pushed me out there to the outer realms of strangers, so to speak. So that wasn't my experience at all. And I wanted to highlight that that's not the case for everybody. But then you left a comment
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you were like, well, I'm going to let you say what your comment was. And please, before you even go into that, introduce yourself and mention your companies, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aya. I am the founder of Shapely. I'm a plus size media brand and Snapscene, a selfie studio and a overall visual art studio. And my comment that day was for Shapely, that was the case. Mostly strangers showed me love and that built community. But for Snapscene, that was not the case. And I I thought about it knowing we were gonna do this show, and there was a big crossover. So I'm wondering if it wasn't that hard for Snap Scene because an audience had already existed from Shapely, right? So that was some. So the people that would normally be strangers, um, because they know me from Shapely, and overall the respect that is received from a brick and mortar is totally different from a virtual business or yeah, that's been my experience. The a brick and when people hear you have like a storefront, a location, the body language changes, the tone changes. It and that was took some getting used to as well because it I was like they both required a lot of work, but the respect that was given for the brick and mortar location was much higher.
I find that to be very interesting. And um, here's the thing, there are so many elements that are involved in everybody's experience, right? And I realized that a lot of people will hear something, and if it sounds good without even giving it a second thought, they'll run with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really, really think about it, it's probably your mom, it's probably your sibling, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably your neighbor, or I really don't see, unless you really don't know anybody at all, which I highly doubt,
Mm-hmm.
I really don't see that. And this is me talking about the majority of people who, say things like this. I really don't see it being 100% strangers that support you and the people that you don't not showing up. But then you brought into this conversation a physical store.
I've had people who never purchased a thing from like Shapely, never purchased a thing, never shared a post, but was somehow in the audience, like donate money to Snapscene, like out of the blue. And I'm just like, where were Shapely started in 2014. So it's like, what happened? What?
Um, Really big shout out to JRG tuning in. So, what I'm hearing you say is you think a part of that is bandwagon riding?
I think so. I think so. And I also think that it could be the line of business as well because Shapely is so niche. Not everybody identifies with the plus size experience, what that is like, what that entails. Everybody, I have family members that I'm of West Indian descent. So family members would be like, we don't do that stuff. Don't bring that stuff over here. And I was just like, what is this stuff? What do y'all think happens here? Um, and then also I want to make a point too that Toya pointed out that sometimes we say nobody, but we really mean like nobody that we would want, right? Because sometimes there's people, it's just not necessarily the people that you want. So we end up saying like nobody, like we'll say nobody likes me, right? But there's a whole host of people that like you. Subconsciously, you're probably thinking about like this guy you like that you want to like you back, but now nobody likes you, you know? So that takes into effect as well. But to circle back, yeah, I believe so. It's the bandwagon. People see things getting big. The audience is getting bigger. There's a lot more mentions now on either side. I'm getting invited to things that I was never invited to before. And this is on both ends. Now, when I come down, my family isn't saying, don't bring that stuff over here. It's, oh, when you're going to be in town. So sometimes the hardest sell is your friends and family.
Whew, that's really interesting. And I promise you, I know for sure that a lot of us, when we walk into a room, people will, look us over, and they don't always spend a lot of time showing interest in getting to know us, right? But the moment you say something like, "Oh, I own a car wash. Oh, I'm in the restaurant business. Oh, I own a selfie studio," people's heads start to turn, and all of a sudden, "Hi, I would like to get to know you." So I promise you, I know about that part. It's definitely not something that I considered thinking about this. And I wanted to make this conversation a little louder because you brought an element into it that blew my mind. I didn't think of the fact that now that there's a physical store, and shout out to your store, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Let me give a little bit of background on this store. So, I am currently in my podcast studio, which is newly built. And thank you. And during the months that we were doing the build out, we wanted to start recording because we're super busy. Our team, we all have different things going on, and we wanted to record in advance. And a lot of times when you see an episode, it was probably recorded months prior. So we started recording in December, and Aya has her selfie studio, which wasn't opened yet. I
No,
think
it
it
wasn't
maybe
done.
2 weeks before it was
Yeah.
open. I was like, Aya, I need a place to record. And you showed me the whole thing on FaceTime, and I was just highly impressed and
Thank you.
super proud of you.
Thank you.
And I was like, I don't need all of that. I just need that
Yeah.
little corner right there.
Hmm.
I just need that little table with the flowers that look like you're in a cafe in Paris.
Hmm.
So when you see certain episodes of the Nola Ro Experience podcast in season 3, the episode with Triana Neuville, you'll see that one. We talked about moms pretending to be okay when we're really not. A lot of us are struggling out here. That one with the beautiful pink flowers in the back. Are they what do you call the flowers?
No clue. I'm telling you.
Cherry blossoms?
No clue. I can look it up. No clue.
They look like cherry blossoms. So when you see that episode, that's Aya's studio. And we did other episodes too. We actually recorded in the VIP section. Listen, I am so excited about this, but true story, a couple of our episodes were not in our actual studio because we started recording before we built the studio. And Aya was kind enough to let us use her selfie studio, which, do you want to give the address and tell people exactly what it is? Because I love your space.
75 Atlantic Avenue in Limbrook, New York. Limbrook is Long Island. It's the town right at the Valley Stream. So if you go to Green Acres, you go to the mall, we're literally like 5 minutes away. Long Island Railroad stops right at Limbrook as well. And snapsceneny.com for more info and tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, there is, it's like a whole studio with a bunch of little rooms,
Hmm.
and each room has its own look. Amazing. There's a room with like a pool table, there's a room with a basketball hoop, there's a room with a bathtub with bubbles, there's a room that looks like you're in a nightclub in the VIP
Yeah.
section. There's a room
That's
with
inflation, yeah.
what's that?
I said inflation. We can't afford real VIP. Inflation.
There's a room with a bedroom where the bed looks like it's,
On the illusion room. Yes, yes.
so a really, really amazing business. I love it there, and I'm definitely going to be coming back and bringing more people. But something that we were talking about maybe yesterday, I think
Hmm.
I posted a video about people who can't say no, and they'll tell you, yes, I want to do it, I'm happy to do it, yes, yes, but they really don't want to do it.
That
So when
was
they do
triggering.
show up, what's that?
I said that was triggering for me, but I'll let you continue. Go ahead.
So when they do show up to do whatever it is, they either have an attitude, they have passive aggressive energy, or they don't show up at all. They'll cancel at the last minute. And I don't think that's something that I noticed like when I was younger. And it made me think, is this something more people are doing today? Like, are people not able to say how they feel? They're not comfortable.
See, honestly, I think people want to be part of the hype, right? And they feel like if they say no, they're going to miss out on the hype. So it's like when the hype comes, which they know it's coming, because to me, people know when you're on the cusp of greatness. They know when you're about to hit it. And they're like, oh, if I could help out with this one project or this two projects, I'll be in that section when you finally get your lick, right? And so they show up, but they
Hold
have
on, hold on.
uh-huh.
We need some translation. So let me translate for you.
Okay. So they're like, oh, if I help her out, I know she's about to blow, right? I know she's about to blow in Jamaica. They say, well, you about to bust, whatever.
FOMO.
Yeah. And then they want to be part of the journey, because when you get to the top, they feel like as long as they were visible to you,
Yes.
that you'll include them. But there's a difference between being visible and being helpful.
Mm.
So some people just want to be visible. They have no intention on being helpful. And then you get this, homeboy help. I don't need homeboy help. I need actual help.
What
But
is homeboy help? What is
homeboy
happening?
is what we were the I'm just showing up. I'm gonna half a double S it. I'm gonna look like I'm doing something, but not actually be doing something. And chances are they want to be around because they want to be kept in the circle.
Mm.
They want to be around because there's going to be some perks provided to them, because they could easily not do what they're not doing there at home. But there's a reason why they want to not do it next to you.
Shots fired. A lot of shots fired. And let me tell you why. That's also another element that I didn't consider within the scope of this conversation, because I'm just thinking about the yes people, right? You're now bringing into account the people who suffer from FOMO and the people who want to say, I was there.
You
I
see
was
me in that
there.
picture when she was hosting? You see me, I'm right in that table to the left. I was there.
That's my foot.
Yep.
That's not an element that I considered at all.
But if they didn't offer to help you, would they be in that situation? Would they be in your presence at that moment to show their foot? No.
Hmm. Well, I would like to ask that we normalize learning how to express ourselves if we need to say no. Because I know for some people, it's, I don't want to make people feel bad. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want them to feel like I don't support them. You can Google this. What are some ways that I can say no without hurting someone's feelings? Do it, because we need to stop.
And a lot of times you can still be helpful, right? But not in the manner that that person had for you. Because sometimes we think a person, or we ask somebody to do something because we think they'll be great in that role or they can serve in that capacity. So if you have a hard time giving a blanketed no, you can come back with an alternative. If you're like, hey, I would like you, I thought you'd be great for this because you do this, can you? And I'm like, not at the moment, but I can promote whatever it is for you, or I can do whatever. So that way you're still being helpful and you're still saying no to what it is you don't want to do.
I think you and I have have had
Good.
similar situations like that, experiences with each other. Because when you did your brunch, I don't remember if that was your first brunch.
It was the first. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I have a date.
Mhm. Right.
I have a hot date.
Uh-huh.
And it started, I'm supposed to be with him at a certain time, but I is doing this
Yeah.
thing. I'm going to have to figure out how to do both.
Mhm.
So what I did was I informed you in advance. Listen,
Yes.
I want to purchase a ticket. I want to come show you love, but I have to leave early.
Yes. That's a perfect example, to be honest. Perfect example.
And when it was time to go, I was like, girl, I gotta go. Because
Yeah.
I gotta go,
Yeah.
you know, as opposed to saying, yeah, 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 I'll be there.
Yeah.
And then I don't show up.
Yeah.
I think that looks weirder.
And now let's parallel it, right? Because one time I had agreed to lend you the space, but I couldn't be there at the time that you I needed to be to give you access. So I was just like, how can I get this done? And I just put a lockbox outside with the key, and you were allowed to set up and everything. So
I didn't know that lockbox was put there that day.
it was.
I thought this was something that you
No.
do.
And then that actually turned into a thing, because now I say now I can actually use private access or access outside of normal business hours.
Wow. Beautiful.
But for
And that
me,
was
go ahead.
that wasn't your first time either, because when I had my second anniversary event last year,
Mhm.
you were like, I can't come because I have
Yes,
something else to do,
yes,
but let me buy a ticket
yes,
or two.
yes.
And I was like, all right,
Hmm.
girl, all right. I love it.
Yeah,
What were you going to say?
I forgot, but yeah, okay. So you said you didn't know that was put there for you, but for me, it and I've told you this, like, behind the scenes or whatever, like, I think you're like a girl's girl. I think you show love, you show support. And for me, I did not want to let you down. Like, I did not want to let you down. And that day I was figuring out how I can still be helpful but still tend to my obligations without a blanketed no. And thankfully, just using some critical thinking skills in Home Depot, I was able to facilitate that, and everything worked out. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And I think if more of us were, like you said, we normalized it, or we just sat and thought for a minute. Some people are, pleasers. Instinctually is like, yes, 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 but sometimes when you think you're helping, you can actually in some ways be hurting, because you're not either performing to the capacity that somebody needs you to, or you're not on time, or whatever the case may be. So find out what will work for you, if something will work for you, and offer that instead.
Yeah, offer alternatives. Huge shout out to Rawl.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I want to say is, for the people who struggle with saying no and you have no idea why, I would definitely take a look back at childhood, because a lot of our stuff comes from, our interactions with our first people, whether it was parents,
Mhm.
caregivers, guardians, whomever, right?
Mhm.
But it's such an important thing to do. It will change your life. And it's also something you can Google. What are some reasons why I can't say?
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Googling,
Yeah.
people. Do not sleep. There's so much info out there that can transform your life.
Mhm.
Tap in. But my favorite thing about this conversation is I'm thinking about one thing and you keep bringing in other elements that
Mhm.
I'm not thinking about, which I love those types of
Mhm.
discussions. And to the people who have been supporting you, shout out to them.
Yes.
I think it's really important that people understand. Have you ever heard people say, I made it from the bottom and nobody helped me?
Impossible.
What are you talking about?
Impossible. I want that coaching class because impossible. Impossible. It's a community. They should say nobody that I wanted to help me help me.
I'm sorry, guys.
Getting this space, stranger.
I won that
Um,
coaching class.
real estate, stranger. Contractor, another stranger introduced to me by a stranger. Architect, introduced to me by that stranger that was introduced to me by another stranger. I have architects. I'm related to architect, related to attorney, related to construction worker. Just saying. Just saying. And then,
I'm gonna drink my tea.
we see all these things. You see all these families and or institutions of close friends, and they've amassed this estate and built this level of wealth that could multiply and be handed down, and we just wonder why we can't do it. I stopped worrying about it, me personally. I know where I need to go for A, B, C, or D. However, there are reasons for that. And there's some things I see you doing that you post here and there that teaches certain levels of autonomy, like business and things like that. I feel like the earlier we get that ingrained, whether into another generation, whether it be our children or not, right? Because I don't think you have to be related to another generation to have an impact. There's a young girl who came with her mom. I was shooting some photos for her. And where most people be like, oh, the kids could just go wherever. I was teaching how to help, how to do lights, how to do whatever. If I'm doing a 360 photo booth and the kids want to help, I'm always allowing them to help. But we need to start having those conversations, and it doesn't always have to be about entrepreneurship, because you can excel in your 9 to 5. You can excel in corporate America, but I think we need to start lending our resources more to the people that are tightly knit with us, because it all helps us. Like, if all of us are good, if we're all good in our own right, always secure in our own right. When we go out to dinner, ain't nobody watching nothing. Don't nobody care about. You know what I mean? Like, the experiences are so much better when everybody in the group is good, when everybody in the family is good. And I think we lose sight of that. And sometimes, to be honest, we have to own our stuff too. Probably your family or your friends don't mess with you because you done dropped the ball a couple of times or two. So
Girl,
we have to sometimes represent ourselves or show up as our new self. I've done some things that in my adolescent, teenage, whatever years that I'm not that proud of. And there's been people I had to reintroduce myself to shed whatever connotation they had of me too. So we owe some ownership in that as well.
same, same. Cause, girl, and I think that is such an important thing. The reintroduction.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many paths I've walked, so many parts of my journey that if I tell you these stories now, you'd be like, you lying.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. And I've had to do that as well, reintroduce, this new version and issue a lot of apologies.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure.
So, and I want to backtrack really quickly. My cousin, my mother's nephew, built my studio. So,
I'm all for that. Yeah.
yeah, so he's a contractor.
Yeah.
He built the studio. He sent me an invoice
There you go.
and I paid him.
Yeah. That's it.
Shout out to people supporting
Yeah.
people. The reason why we're talking about support is because it's necessary. Nobody's out here going from 0 to 100
Real
real
quick.
quick by themselves. They're not. They're not. People are pushing you, people are helping you, and I mean that in a good way. I don't
Mhm.
mean, losing your temper. I mean, when
Right.
people are like, I started from nothing, now I have everything. You didn't do it by yourself. And, it's okay if you were blind in a moment, but definitely take a step back and acknowledge that there's a whole community of people, possibly dozens of people you probably have never seen,
Mhm.
people you don't even know exist,
Mhm.
who have supported and helped you in
Mhm.
some way, some form. And I think we feel better when we acknowledge that. I think you feel better
Yeah.
because nobody wants to feel, I have all of these things, but nobody cared, nobody helped.
Because then everybody that helped you is gonna be looking at you crazy. Then you're gonna go for help again, and they're not gonna be wanting to help, and then it's gonna further feed your narrative that nobody helped you.
Girl, that's it. That's basically it. Well, I would like to switch into mother mode. I did promise my son we will watch a movie. So that is what I am getting ready to do. I don't know what movie it is yet, but uh, that's coming up. And I would like to thank you for your insight.
Welcome.
Thank you for your love. Thank you for your
Thank
energy.
you.
Thank you for being beautiful
Oh, thank you.
and everything that is coming to, because I see it. When I saw that studio, I was like, nah,
Yeah.
nah.
And you was my first paid customer. First paid at the studio and at my very first brunch. You was the first paid customer.
What?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Okay, this is the second time you're making me feel
I
emotional.
know, that's why I try my best to always give you your flowers. But yes, you
Wow.
are a businesswoman's businesswoman. So yeah.
Wow. I appreciate you. And where's Toya?
Oh, she's on TikTok. Like she's over on TikTok. So many people ask me that question. She's over on TikTok.
I love how TikTok is like another state.
Yes. You need like to pay a toll or something. Like
Oh, she in TikTok because
yeah,
I'm not there, so I
yeah,
don't see her.
yes. She's on
All
TikTok.
right. Well, shout out to Toya too.
Yeah.
Toya is the reason why we met, and Toya and
Thank you.
I met in such a random, organic way. We
Mhm.
were walking in a parade together, and we were looking at each other. We just started talking.
Yes. Yes. She's very good at it. She's a networking genius. Yeah. So,
So anyway, thank you so much, my love.
thank you for having me.
Yes,
Right.
and to everybody who chimed in, engaged. Shout out to JRG. Shout out to Rawl. Shout out to my producer who sent me a screenshot reassuring me that this thing is working.
Okay.
And the people who are going to watch this video after, thank you for even tuning in. The Nola Ro Experience Podcast Season 3. As you can see, it's a whole new look, whole new energy, whole new vibe. And I'm super excited about what's coming. I'm already planning Season 4.
And,
Yeah,
and
that,
and as
that's
you
how
should,
exciting.
you should.
Yes. So
Yeah.
thank you all. And I am not out here pretending like I'm doing this without you.
There you
Gratitude.
go. All right. Have a good one.
Later. This was amazing, people. Super excited that Aya joined in. And I am going to close out. You all have a wonderful, safe, beautiful night. All right? Later.